Hello and welcome to the South Asia session of Rising Together, the Girl Rising International Day of the Girls. नमस्कार और आप सभी का स्वागत है. I am Nidhi Dubey, Girl Rising India Country Director, along with my colleague Richa Hingorani, India Program Manager, and Sophie Luard, Girl Rising Young Leaders Task Force member. And we are so happy to be with thousands of girl champions across the world today.
Hello, Nidhi and Sophie. Over the last few weeks, we've had the pleasure of meeting so many of you on the Rising Together chat community, and it's wonderful to now all be together to honor the International Day of the Girl. Welcome once again.
Hello, Nidhi and Richa. I'm Sophie Luard, part of the Girl Rising Young Leaders Task Force, and I want to give a special welcome to the thousands of young changemakers who are joining us today. Welcome and thank you. All of you who are rising together during these times to make a difference in your communities and fighting for a better world. We celebrate all of you today who have passion for gender equity and a future where all girls have the opportunity to pursue a future of their own choosing.
We have an incredible summit ahead of us. Messages from esteemed leaders, conversations with inspiring change makers, deep dives into some of the most important issues of our time. Performances, song, dance, and even a yoga class in session 4 so that we are all energized throughout our time together. And right now in South Asia session, we are very thrilled that guests like Mohammad Nasiri from UN Women, Team USAID India, and our very own Ruxana, among others, are joining us. This and so much more, all to bring in 2020 International Day of the Girl.
Yes, and we have thousands of people joining us today on our Crowdcast platform from every region in the world. We're rising together virtually. We hope you will all be active members of our community in our main sessions, our breakouts, and our polls. Please join our chat throughout the event where you will meet our global community and also other members of our Young Leaders Task Force. This event is all about the International Day of the Girl theme, My Voice, Our Equal Future. And we know that all of you will use your voices to stand up for girls and their futures. We have created a safe platform where voices are heard and respected. Bullying commenters will be removed, and if you see any inappropriate comments, please alert our team at idg@girlrising.org. Sophie, over to you.
Thank you, Richa. Now that you have met us, we want to meet you. We invite all of you to join us in a collective Girl Rising photo opportunity. Write Girl Rising on your hand, just like we all did. Take a photo of yourself and post to your favorite social media with the hashtag Rising Together. We can't wait to see all of your faces.
Sophie, a tremendous thank you to you and all the talented members of Girl Rising Young Leaders Task Force for your efforts in creating this International Day of the Girls Summit. Sophie, you're part of the group that proposed this event. Tell us a little bit more about your original idea and the goals behind it.
Yeah, 2020 has been a year of tremendous difficulties, but also a year when young people are on the front lines for justice and for a better future. The pandemic has caused a massive disruption to education, and we know that girls around the world are disproportionately affected. During these challenging times, the Girl Rising Young Leaders Task Force wanted to create a time to come together across the time zones for important conversations about gender equity, girls' education, and talk about the roles that all of us can play in shaping our futures. And that's what we're going to do today.
Thank you so much, Sophie. You've shown real leadership in creating this event. And I also want to thank Imago Dei Foundation for supporting our Young Leaders Task Force. You will meet other members of the task force throughout the event, and let's see some of them right now.
So just a few housekeeping details to go over. You can find the full program and detailed agenda on the Girl Rising website. We also invite you to join our chat and meet all of the other participants. This session and all sessions will feature real-time translations in 7 languages: English, Spanish, French, Mandarin, Hindi, Arabic, and Bengali. We are sharing the link for translation right here on our chat and on the Girl Rising website. Our platform allows you to hop in and out all day. Please join us on any of our sessions today.
And now time for some thank yous. A big thank you to our sponsor HP, Viacom CBS, French Press Productions, Shearman and Sterling, Stream It, and Hogan Lovells. I also want to thank the Sydney Tidon Memorial Fund for their generous support. Thank you for supporting this event and our mission to change the way the world values girls and their education. And now, we'd like to share a special message from Mohammad Nasiri, Regional Director Women Asia and Pacific. Mohammad, a heartfelt thank you for rising to the occasion and lending your voice for the cause.
100 years. The world may still be 100 years away from achieving gender equality. The pandemic that we are all living through today has threatened the little progress made towards achieving this vision. And real change has been too slow for the majority of women and girls in the world. Today, not a single country can claim to have achieved gender equality. Laws and cultures remain unchanged. Yet, numerous reports and data have shown us that empowering women and girls brings shifts and positive changes, not only in their own lives, but also to entire communities. While impactful strides have been made with initiatives such as He for She that urges men and boys to support women and girls in their journey towards equal opportunities, a lot of ground is yet to be covered. Both you and I can play a role. Both you and I can help create a future where dreams and aspirations decide one's future, not social norms. I stand for her. I stand with her. This International Day of the Girl, I urge everyone to come together and work to ensure that no one is left behind. I am Muhammad Al-Nasiri, and I am Girl Rising.
Yes, gender equality may be 100 years away, but like Mohammad Nasiri just said, both girls and women, boys and men, women and men must come together to ensure no one is left behind. Thank you, Mohammad, for saying it like it is. As we move on, we have an incredible lineup of panelists coming in just a few minutes for a vital conversation about girls and access to digital technology. But before our guests join us, we have a special treat in store. Many of you just watched the Girl Rising Ruxana chapter in session 1, the incredible story of a girl from India with big dreams and a beautifully vivid imagination. 5 years since, her inspiring journey continues. Ruxana could not be here with us today, but Richa had a conversation with her a few days ago, and I'm thrilled to share a special message from her for girls across the globe on IDG.
Hi Ruxana.
हाय मैम,
कैसे हो आप?
मैं ठीक हूँ। आप कैसे हैं मैम?
बढ़िया। मैं एक्चुअली शुरू करना चाहती थी आपको एक थैंक यू के साथ। थैंक यू कि आपने हमें अपनी जर्नी में शामिल होने का इतना अच्छा एक अवसर दिया है। जब भी आपकी कहानी प्ले होती है, जो ऑब्वियसली गर्ल राइजिंग की वो पढ़ेगी वो उड़ेगी की फिल्म का एक हिस्सा है, जब भी हम वो फिल्म एक्चुअली स्क्रीन करते हैं स्कूल में या कम्युनिटी में, तब सब लोग हमें दो चीजें बोलते हैं। एक कि ये उनकी फेवरेट स्टोरी है, और ये मेरी भी एक्चुअली फेवरेट स्टोरी है। और सेकंड क्वेश्चन है कि क्या कर रही है अब रुखसाना, कहाँ है अब रुखसाना। तो आई नो कि अभी आपकी एक छोटी सी एक अचीवमेंट थी थोड़े महीनों पहले, आपको हमारे साथ सबके साथ एक्चुअली शेयर करना चाहोगे?
या मैम, मैं शेयर करना चाहूँगी। मैं अभी जहीं भी हूँ अच्छी हूँ, और मुझे गर्ल राइजिंग ने बहुत ही सपोर्ट किया है, तो मैं गर्ल राइजिंग में पहले थैंक यू बोलना चाहती हूँ कि उनके वजह से मैं अभी तक एक अच्छी जगह में हूँ जहाँ मुझे हम अच्छा से पढ़ सकते हैं। और हमें भी अच्छा एक हॉस्टल में हमको एडमिट किया है, तो वो हॉस्टल में मैं भी हूँ, बहुत ही अच्छी हूँ। मेरा पढ़ाई बहुत ही कंप्लीट से हो रहा है, मैं बहुत ही खुश हूँ।
कंग्रेचुलेशंस रुखसाना। आई एम श्योर सबके लिए ये बोल रही हूँ कि हम आपकी जर्नी के से इतना इंस्पायर होते हैं, और हमें ऑब्वियसली इतना प्राउड फील होता है कि आप खुश हो और आप 10th क्लास अपने पास कर लिया। तो
मैम, थैंक यू मैम, थैंक यू। और गर्ल राइजिंग को भी बोलते हैं थैंक यू मुझे इतना सपोर्ट करने के लिए।
थैंक यू। तो अभी जैसे आपके अपनी क्लास 10th आपके अभी आप क्लास 10th में गए हो, आगे की आपके क्या प्लान्स हैं?
मैम, अभी तो मुझे शूटिंग जो हुआ था, जो वीडियो हुआ था गर्ल राइजिंग में, तो उसमें तो आप लोग देखे होंगे कि मुझे ड्राइंग बहुत ही पसंद है। तो अभी फिलहाल मैं ड्राइंग ही बहुत पसंद करती हूँ, मैं आगे लेके ड्राइंग को ही करूँगी।
अरे वाह, हमें याद है वो आपने चमकी एक डिजाइन किया था, वो बहुत ग्रेट, वेरी वेरी हैप्पी टू लर्न दैट।
हाँ
अच्छा, तो अब हमारा एक आखिरी जो क्वेश्चन है वो है कि जैसे आपको शायद पता होगा कि अक्टूबर 11 को इंटरनेशनल डे ऑफ गर्ल
या हाँ
होता है ना। इसी दिन हम एक्चुअली लड़कियों की जितनी भी उपलब्धियां हैं या
या
बाधाएं हैं, अचीवमेंट्स, चैलेंजेस, दोनों पर चर्चा करते हैं।
हाँ जी।
तो आज इस दिवस पर आपका क्या एक मैसेज है जो आप लड़कियों को देना चाहेंगे?
मैम इस दिवस में हम मैसेज देना चाहती हूँ कि कोई भी कमजोर मत पड़ना पढ़ाई में, क्योंकि पढ़ाई लाइफ को आगे लेके जाएगा क्या। और है कि तुम लोग भी अच्छे से पढ़ना, मैं हम लोग को मैसेज दे रही हूँ कि वो लोग भी अच्छे से पढ़ें और पढ़ाई में ज़्यादा फोकस करें, क्योंकि वो पढ़ाई जो है ना वो अपना लाइफ को आगे बढ़ाना है उनको। तो हम बोलना चाहते हैं कि तुम लोग भी पढ़ो, अच्छे से पढ़ो, मेरी तरह ही बनो। मेहनत करना ज़्यादा, फिलहाल मेहनत की ज़्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट है, तुमको मेहनत करके उनको पास करना है, क्योंकि मैं भी मेहनत की तो मुझे पास किया, हम पास किए हैं। तो तुम लोगों सबको कॉन्ग्रेचुलेशन इस दिवस के लिए। सो यही बोले।
ठीक है, थैंक यू सो मच रुखसाना, दोबारा बात
थैंक यू।
करेंगे।
ओके मैम।
Hello, my name is Johnny Young. I am a retired Foreign Service officer or American diplomat. I was in the U.S. diplomatic service for 37 and a half years, and I had the privileges of serving as U.S. ambassador on 4 occasions. I had a very difficult time reaching the top ranks of the service in order to become an ambassador. I had to overcome many obstacles of discrimination. And I come to you today to implore you, to ask you to not let anything get in your way when you are faced with discriminatory practices, so that you can reach your ideals and your goals and whatever you want to do. Today I work with an organization called the Council on International Educational Exchange. I'm a member of the board, and I'm very proud to be on the board of this incredible organization that has been around for over 70 years. It was an organization like CIEE that gave me an opportunity to go abroad, to have a cultural and educational experience at an international conference, and that was a transformative experience in my life and made me want to work in the international arena. I hope that one day you will consider having that kind of experience, and will consider CIEE as an organization that you could possibly turn to. There's nothing like having an opportunity to work abroad, to study abroad. It changes you like nothing else that I can think of. And I hope that whatever you have in mind, if you want to be a diplomat, if you want to be a banker, if you want to be a humanitarian worker, an engineer, no matter what it is, there's nothing like having that experience of having lived and worked abroad. So I want you to give that some thought. Don't let anything get in your way in terms of discriminatory practices that hold girls and women back in so many ways. Keep your courage up, keep your spirit and determination up, keep your eye on the prize. I am Girl Rising.
Growing up, girls are often told what to do, what to say, what to wear, where to go. I too have faced similar challenges. And with the support of my family and friends, overcame those and ensured I realized all my dreams. There is a fighter in each one of us. There is a change maker in each one of us. So today, on account of International Day of the Girl, I want to urge you all girls to believe in yourself fiercely and pursue your passions. I'm thrilled to be able to share my passion with all of you today with a special preview of the documentary I've been producing, Complexion. The change you decide to script today will open the world of opportunities for many generations to follow. So to all of our friends and family, I request you to stand alongside girls and women and help dismantle these stereotypes of skin color, gender roles, and other discriminatory practices. Our triumph is our unity towards ensuring equal opportunities for girls and women. I'm Nina Davalori, and I am Girl Rising.
I want this America, like I have a voice, I have a platform, and this is a moment that I can use and start a conversation, because I guarantee you that if I have felt this way, if I grew up in America feeling that I am not beautiful because I'm dark-skinned, there are hundreds and thousands of other people around the world feeling this way too. And so how do I use this and start this conversation and ask the question, why? Why do we believe this? Why are we told from that young age that this is what we should aspire to be? Why, as a culture and community, do we perpetuate this stereotype? Across my hundreds of conversations with students in universities in America, this was always a point that came up. There was always a person or a question that said, how do you feel about being dark-skinned? Or someone sharing a story with me saying, oh, my parents said that I'm not beautiful because I'm dark, or I shouldn't go out in the sun, or I won't get married, or I won't find the right career because you're dark-skinned. I knew it affected me significantly, but when you have the same story come up over and over and over and over, it almost happened like I have to tell this story. I have to look into this. I have to understand more about where this is coming from and find out why. But I hope that people ask the question.
Namaste from USAID India. Empowering girls and women is integral to achieving our development progress, and it has a multiplier effect, benefiting not only girls, but their families, their communities, and generations to come. To build a country that is resilient and future-ready, we must commit ourselves to ensuring that no girls are left behind, regardless of religion, social or economic class, or sexual identity.
Progress toward girls' education and other key indicators has been severely disrupted by the coronavirus pandemic. Recent estimates have shown that nearly 20 million girls may never return to school. Of this, many will be forced into child marriage. At the same time, stories of resistance, courage, and dedication emerge from this vibrant country, of girls beating the odds to continue their education at home, of parents supporting aspirations of their daughters, of siblings and peers inspiring girls to continue dreaming big.
On International Day of Girl, USAID wants to share a message with girls whose struggle to complete their education may be challenging, but whose spirit is unwavering. USAID wants to remind each of you that it is your stories that will inspire us today. It will inspire future generations to realize their full potential. And it's your determination that will bring the creative solutions to combat these challenges. Together, we will overcome. Together, we will rise.
I am Girl Rising.
I am Girl Rising.
I'm Girl Rising.
I'm Girl Rising.
I am Girl Rising.
A very warm good evening to everyone joining us today on International Day of the Girl. You are watching the 12-hour-long virtual summit, Rising Together, hosted by Girl Rising. This is the South Asia segment, and I am Nidhi Dubey, India Country Director for Girl Rising. Girl Rising was launched in India with the release of a flagship film, Wo Padhegi, Wo Udegi, and since then has evolved into an organization which curates and implements various gender sensitization programs across geographies. To all those who'd like to know more, please head over to our social media channels or reach us at india@girlrising.org. The COVID-19 pandemic has impacted countries worldwide, with unprecedented repercussions in areas of health, education, and economic growth. Currently in India, India is the worst affected country in the world with higher spikes in cases reported every single day. Although some states have proposed to open schools with voluntary attendance, the new normal envisioning learning, education, and employment opportunities to be primarily virtual. With the social distancing norms in place to contain the virus, going digital seems to be the natural way forward. Now, keeping the current scenario in mind, several investments and initiatives have been announced on training teachers to deliver blended education and building capacities of schools to deliver virtual education, health consultations being done over phones, advancing digital financial services, among several others. While these are critical steps to adapt to our current circumstances, a closer look at the ground reality reveals a different story. One where access to technology continues to be inequitable towards girls and women, leading to technology-based solutions widening the digital divide instead of narrowing it. Now, this divide is not new. It has persisted for decades. Dominant social and cultural norms have resulted in girls and women being discriminated against and their access to education, employment, health services being severely impacted. The advent of technology in the last couple of months may have deepened the discrimination that girls face while accessing education. Let's very quickly look at some stats. As per 2017 estimates, in a population of 350 million Indians who have access to internet, nearly 29% are women. Only 28% of women in the country own mobile phone. Now, some of this can be attributed to conservative attitudes that deny women and girls accessibility to mobile phones or social media in order to preserve their modesty. While technology is an asset, we must be cognizant of the existing digital gender divide and actively attempt to close it. This brings me to the topic of this panel discussion, digital platforms, where are the girls? To discuss this with me today, we have some experts as our panelists to share their views and experiences on how we can navigate through these trying times and support those in need. So without any further ado, I'd like to welcome our panelists today. We have with us Ms. Debjani Ghosh, President NASSCOM, Ms. Mamta Saikia, CEO Bharti Foundation, Mr. Rajan Anandan, Managing Director, Sequoia Capital, and 11th grader, Ms. Supriya Kumari, who lives in Delhi, who's a little poet and also part of Girl Rising family. Each one of these speakers are experts in their field, and their full bios you'll find on our website on the event program. A very warm welcome to each of my panelists today. Let's begin. So to start with, Debjani, if I can start with you. You've had a long, illustrious career in tech-oriented companies, and you're the first woman president of NASSCOM. Women in tech isn't a common sight, and in some ways goes on to show how women either do not have access to opportunities or do not have interest in it due to lack of opportunities. This has underpinnings in social and cultural norms that restrict women's access to tech. At a time when technology is an important solution, what do you think is the reality for girls and women in India?
Thanks, Supriya. And first of all, before I answer your question, I would just like to give a shout out to the work Girl Rising, especially you guys, your team in India is doing. I mean, in these particular times, it is even more important for us to be there for our girl child, and to ensure that she's safe and she's able to rise. And I think hats off to the work that you guys are doing all over the world, and especially in India. First of all, I don't completely agree with the perspective that we don't have enough women in tech. I think that's changing, Nidhi. That is changing, and we are beginning to see more and more women in tech. In fact, the IT industry at hiring is 50% diverse. So 50% of the people we bring in are women. On an average, the IT industry is 38% diversity, right? We do lose women as they move up, but 38% is still, it's not perfect, but it is good. And it continues to improve year after year, right? So there are enough women in tech, and I don't think the problem anymore is lack of role models. The problem as I see, the twofold. One is access, and it's not because of interest. I haven't found a lack of interest, and I deal with women in every socioeconomic category. I haven't seen a lack of interest at all. What I have seen is lack of awareness and lack of access. And that actually is going to get solved, or is easier to solve, because technology was getting democratized, and I think COVID has just accelerated the democratization of technology. And we are going to see internet spreading to our villages. We are going to see devices getting cheaper and cheaper. So the access, or the access to technology is going to happen. And this is where government and industry can play a huge concerted role. In fact, Rajan in his last company ran a program called Internet Sati, which I had the chance to be part of. It's a fascinating initiative to take internet to villages, and especially to women. And there are a lot of companies that are running such programs. But the bigger problem is mindset. And it's not the mindset of the girl, it's the mindset of the family, the parents, the society. And it's not just about saying girls should not be educated. It's about saying, if I have limited funds and I can afford just one device, I would rather have the device for the boy than the girl. And that to me is the bigger problem. And I don't know what has to be done to change that problem. We have been chipping away at it as a country. We've been working on it for years and years. But it's a mindset that has been developed over millions of years and is not going to change overnight. But to me, that's the critical one. And the one program that I have seen really successful in changing mindset and getting children back to school is midday meal. Midday meal hit the nail on the head, right? It created the value. It convinced parents that they have to send their kids to school. And it brought so many kids back to school. We have to be creative and figure out what is that problem we need to solve that will compel parents to send the girls back to school. Because to me, it really is about mindset. It's not about access to technology. It's not about interest. It's a much bigger problem, frankly.
Couldn't agree more with you, Debjani. Actually, I mean, the work that we do in Girl Rising is primarily on changing this deep patriarchal sort of mindset that prohibits, men and women, and especially for girls to dream big for themselves, to even think that they can and they can ask for access to something like technology. And in the time of this pandemic, we're seeing the repercussions of that. Agree with you, that's getting better. But I think just the mindset is so deep rooted that addressing that as a problem, becomes the larger one. Moving on, if I can come to you, Rajan, with that in the background and owing to, the pandemic and social distancing norms in place, I mean, we understand that going digital is the organic, next step. Now, whether it is education or employment opportunity or anything, just lots of initiatives are coming up in the last few months that we see. So with respect to all of this, where do you think Digital India is heading, especially in terms of catering to the differential access between men and women?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. Look, so I think it's important to keep in mind where India was a decade ago, right? So I joined Google in 2011, and I spent 8 years at Google. When I joined Google, India had just crossed 100 million internet users and had only 10 million active smartphone users. And when I left in the middle of 2019, we had almost 500 million internet users and over 400 million smartphone users, right? So that's extraordinary growth in total. And I think 2014, when we launched Internet Sati, which is this initiative that Debjani referred to, where Google sort of embarked on this major initiative in partnership with Tata Trusts to help women in rural India digitize, right? Only 10% of internet users in rural India were women, and about 30% in women in internet users in urban India were women. But actually that picture is changed and it's actually gotten much, much better in urban India. So if you look at urban India today, 45% of internet users in urban India are women. So in many ways, the digital gender divide in urban India, we're almost there, right? Obviously, we want to get to 50%, nothing less than 50% is acceptable. And also in rural India, it's actually now gotten up to about 25 or 30%. I don't have the latest data from the Internet Sati initiative. So I would say, look, it's certainly getting better, right? That's where we are today. I think if you look at 2025, India will go from 500 million connected users to about 1 billion connected users. Maybe it'll take us till 2027, but certainly in the next 5-6 years, we will get there. And the single biggest enabler of that will be lower cost, more affordable smartphones, right? So that even families today that could maybe only have one smartphone, that have no smartphones, will get one smartphone. Families that have one smartphone may get two smartphones, etc. So if you think about, how do we close the digital gender divide in especially now in rural India, it's really about access, right? And access is both affordability and desirability, right? Affordability, you just have to have much lower cost smartphones. The data pricing, which is a big issue, 5 years ago was solved. I mean, right, today India has the lowest cost data in the world by far, but the phones are still expensive relative to the affordability, especially in rural India. So I do think that we will have 1 billion Indians online by 2025. That's almost a given at this point. And I would think that 400, maybe 450 million of those users will actually be women. So I think we're probably 5, 6, 7 years away from getting true parity in terms of pure access to the internet, right? They have an access to the internet. They're consuming the internet. So I think that's sort of problem one, if you will, when it comes to the digital gender divide. I think the second, then the next question becomes, how do you make the internet really useful, right? You talked about a number of sectors that have seen tremendous tailwind over the last 5 months, right? Across many sectors in India and around the world, what we've seen is changes that would have normally taken 5 years have happened in 5 months, right? EdTech is one of them, right? Today we have over 100 million Indians today that consume online education products, right? That number was 1/3 of that, 7 months ago. So, and we think we are still in COVID, and I think most children will be learning from homes for the next, probably 6, possibly 12 months in many countries. That number will double from here. So whether it's education, whether it's healthcare, whether it's access to sort of useful content, right? I'm not talking about entertainment. I think those sorts of things are being built, right? Access to financial services, right? I think India didn't really have a payments ecosystem 5 years ago. Today we have the world's most advanced digital payments ecosystem, thanks to Aadhaar and then the UPI, which is part of the India stack, right? And as a result, so financial access, which has been access to financial services, access to credit, which has been a big issue, especially in rural India for both men and women, but especially women. Over 5, 6, 7 years, those will be delivered digitally, right? So digital is a big enabler. It democratizes access to just about everything, but especially to these core services. I think the thing that excites me the most now is, if you ask me, is employment creation, right? This is less for sort of kids and education, but really for women in the workforce. As you know, I mean, only 23% of Indian women in urban India are employed, right? So it's what's quite tragic in India is we actually have a women in employment ratio that's actually lower than just about every country in Africa, which is really quite sad, right? But I actually think the internet, what it's doing now, what we are seeing is the ability to provide, gainful sources of employment, may possibly not full-time, but part-time employment, right? So at Sequoia, we obviously fund technology startups at sort of all stages, from very early through very late stages. And we have some companies that are doing some very interesting things. I won't go through all of them, but one of those companies is called Meesho, right? And what Meesho does is, it essentially is a social commerce platform, right? They recruit housewives and then essentially give them a platform that enables them to become resellers of products, right? Meesho is only about 4 years, into business and already has 2 million sellers, right? These are 2 million Indian housewives that actually were not working before Meesho was invented. And today they make many thousand rupees a month. Some of them actually make a lot of money. as resellers, right? So because what Meesho does is it actually provides a virtual catalog, it provides a payment system, it provides a sort of a fulfillment service where all of a sudden these women can become resellers of products, right? Another interesting company in India was a company called Whitehead Junior, which was a coding for kids company that was acquired by Byju's. Byju's is we are fortunate to be investors and partners at Byju's for a long time. Byju's recently acquired Whitehead Junior. Now, Whitehead Junior is very interesting. It's a company that's only 18 months old. It was the fastest 0 to 100 million revenue company in India's history. Right? These guys went from 0 to $100 million of revenue in like 12 months. But what's interesting about them is not that. What's interesting about them is their teachers are women who actually started teaching coding to kids, most of them in India, but also in the US, right? So Whitehead Junior is basically a coding for kids startup from India that actually launched by teaching kids in the US using Indian teachers. But all these teachers are actually women. Now, in a country with, I think about 10 million teachers, right? Can we imagine that another 10 or 20 million teachers, women, could become teachers who would not just teach Indians, but teach the world, right? I do think India should become sort of the learning hub of the world. So this next phase, the sort of the ways I think about the internet and the impact on girls, on impact on women is first, you've got to get everybody access, right? That problem, as I said, is I'd say probably 60-70% of the way there, right? By 2025, we'll be 100% of the way there. And then you kind of get to basic services, right, that are required, especially for children, education, healthcare, sanitation, things like that, right? And those products are being built out and they're getting scaled out, financial services, right? And then you come to the final, in many ways, India's single biggest problem today is employment, right? We have 100 million Indians who are going to enter the workforce over the next decade. Half of them, 50 million women, are going to enter the workforce over the next decade, right? And what excites me most about what digital can do in a country like India is not just being able to deliver basic services like education better and healthcare better, but can digital become the enabler to create effective employment, right? I'm not going to call it jobs because, I think jobs is sort of very, very old way of thinking about the world, right? I mean, but effective employment and ability to actually create an income for 50 million women. And I think the answer is yes. And at Sequoia, we are very, very excited about, helping founders and entrepreneurs create the kind of platforms like Meesho, right? Like Byju's, like Whitehead Junior, and many, many more across different sectors where you could create employment for 50 million women. So long answer to your question, but that's sort of where I think it's heading.
But long answer, actually very well deserved, because it just gives a lot of hope. And if there seems like just so much potential. I mean, Girl Rising has been working on a project where we really sort of work with adolescent girls and older girls to be able to connect them with non-traditional employment. And one of our biggest sort of problem has been what also Devjani highlighted earlier, was just mindset, to be able to let girls enter, these employment arena. And everything that you talk about, Rajan, it just seems like there needs to be probably just more awareness to be able to, for more and more women and young people to be able to even access, information about the opportunities or potential, like this. So thank you so much. Seems really, really hopeful. I'll move on very specifically to education, and I'll come to you, Mamta. Moving on to education more specifically, Bharti Foundation's Satya Bharti schools have played a tremendous role in imparting quality education. We at Girl Rising have had the opportunity of working very closely with Satya Bharti schools and know the emphasis that you've laid on education and on girls' education. Now, in the context of this pandemic, how is this going? How is this being imparted digitally? And what are your experiences?
So, thank you. And I think it was just perfect that I'm speaking after Devjani and Rajan, because I'm going to kind of pick up the two key things both of them said and start with the end first and go to what we are doing later. So Devjani talked about, it's a much larger problem. It is to do with mindset, attitudes for years, how we look at girls and their education and their empowerment. And Rajan talked about that now, how the ratios are changing, and he's very hopeful. In urban, we're there, and rural also is improving as far as participation of girls and women is concerned. So in Satyabhati schools, after COVID started, and it's a story I'm very proud of. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that things remain like this. Of course, we were worried. All our children come from poor families, and we were really very worried. In the moment school lockdown happened, within 48 hours, we had the Satyabhati schooling system, which has 39,000 children. 39,000 children, we have 183 schools in the villages only, was up and running on WhatsApps. We had over 1,000 WhatsApp groups, so each class teacher created her group. So the first thing was, how many children have got connected? And you will not believe it, we could not trace only 2 to 3% children who were neither on a smartphone nor on a simple phone. So of course, since the lockdown was very strict, even within villages, you couldn't go to their house and figure out whether they are there or they've migrated back to where they had come from. Our classes started over WhatsApp, and that's a completely different story. I won't take time over there because we're dealing with the issue of what happened to girls during this COVID. And as is, and Bharati Foundation's philosophy, our philosophy is gender is an important parameter. Anything that we do, so there is this thing of what's happening to girls. Are they coming? Are they participating? Are they doing well? So there are these 3-4 steps that you go through. I'm happy, I'm proud, and I'm very nervous what future will tell. So we found, as far as girls are concerned, all our girls were there. We've only experienced a dropout of 2 to 3% children. So all our girls are there. So they had access to technology. It wasn't as if all the boys were there and certain percentage of girls were not given phone. Girls were given phone as much as boys were given phones. We are in touch with all our children. Second thing we started noticing was their attendance, so taking feedback from teachers. So in some school, boys have better attendance. In some schools, girls have little better attendance, but more or less the same. Then we did a technological survey, and we found that what is the number of hours a child is getting a phone? Because we're planning our academic strategies. We need to know. Rajan talked about it. It's a single phone in the family. If there are 3 kids have to share it. The moment lockdown got over, parents went out with their phones. So now phone is only available in the morning or in the evening. And we were very happy to see that girls had a little edge over number of hours they were spending on the phone while studying, As far as our schools are concerned, I think we're seeing very encouraging signs. But you know about it, Nidhi. It is not a matter of this has happened in last 2-3 months. Our schools have been there for over 15 years in the villages where we work. These are our schools. This is a journey of 15 years. And what Devjani talked about, this is not mindset change. It doesn't happen over in a year. So this is a community we have worked with over 15 years. This is the community where we have talked to parents about how important education of girls is. So if today we have all our girls getting as much time on phone as what the average of overall schooling system is, I think a lot of credit goes to the work that we have done consistently. And coming to another point that Rajan raised, very important one. We were very lucky. Around 2 years back, we started something called phone PTMs. So what for phone PTMs? We would call the parents, whoever had smartphones, and we will download Khan Academy for middle school students and other apps, and tell them, train parents, and these are illiterate parents, most of them, on how to access YouTube, education videos in YouTube. Hello English came in as a partnership and stuff like that. Over 2 years, what happens slowly, as and when a parent could afford a smartphone, because phone PTMs are regular, right? So parents are being told how to use a smartphone into education. In a technological survey, we found 75% of our parents today have a smartphone. And again, in most of the other education system, and you've seen many studies that have come out, 75% smartphone in village, when 75% of our children belong to scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, and OBC categories. So we are really working with underprivileged children. We've been very lucky that there were smartphones, but again, it's a 2-year-long process. We've been working with smartphones for over 2 years. So As far as Satyabhati schools are concerned, Nidhi, only thing it shows is what Devjani pointed out and what Rajan pointed out, that if you work consistently on an issue with a long-term strategy and a long-term vision in mind, things change. It moves to the other side. So we've been very fortunate. Our girls are participating. We obviously monitor a lot of data, be it their participation in everyday studies, be it so there are a lot of, to make sure that they are happy, because mental health is an issue. So we encourage a lot of activities which either brings out their creativity, or we make them participate in external competitions and things like that. We're seeing equal performance by girls. So Nidhi, our experience has been so far very good. And I am looking forward to future. I'm hoping when schools open, we will have all our girls back into our schools.
I think today I heard of this wonderful story of where the district magistrate in a town in Dehradun has worked with the community to bring back 50 tribal girls from the Boxer tribe to school. And I think this brings to the importance of local administration, at the grassroots level administration, and the role they can play. If you can make them your allies in this fight, then half the battle is won. And I think that's something.
I completely agree with you. Fortunately, these are our schools, so we are very connected with the ground. We are connected with sarpanches. Our children, Nidhi knows about it. Devjani, each year our children do something like I Pledge campaign, where the sarpanch has to sign a letter and give it to our children that all girls of my school of my village are in some school, whether in government school, private school, or Satyabhati school, not important. So, if for years you're making sarpanch and panchayat sign that affidavit, and these are little kids, kids from class 4 and 5 who go to a sarpanch and demand that certificate, it will have an impact. And something else that Devjani, said, So Devjani talked about, that she interacts with a lot of women from various things. It isn't the lack of interest. So what happened around a year back, we were donated robotic lab by Ericsson, correct? And it was the first time we were having robotic lab. I had no idea what it means. And so what happened, the day the entire material arrived with the trainer, there were 4 girls who had gone for some debate competition to another school, and they had lost the competition. So they came back to school a little depressed because they had lost the competition. So what did the principal do? She said, there's a robotic lab material which is come, trainer is there, he's assigning something, go and support him. She thought they will get, distracted. 2 days later, we were visiting the school and Mr. Mittal was also there. And you won't believe it, these 4 girls actually made a robo. It was a very simple Land Rover, I think it's the simplest this thing. It was so energizing to see these 4 girls make a robo in 48 hours and make it, run in front of Mr. Mittal. So she's very right. It's a matter of just giving them that opportunity,
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, couldn't agree with you more. And especially, I wasn't really expecting any other answer coming from Satyabhati schools, because the years of investment that actually really makes the community own and then therefore run the program as their own is also, something which is very meaningful. We've done some programs in the villages with Gram Pradhans and especially women Gram Pradhans, and see how they start to own these programs, and that just makes all the difference, really working with the community. I know that we are running a little late on time, so I'm just going to very quickly jump this conversation and come to you, Devjani, actually also because, we at Girl Rising really look at all of you are role models for us, and we look at role models who've had like a path-breaking sort of journey, breaking what they typically call the glass ceiling, but really sort of, making this whole future more desirable, for them. So tell us a little bit about your journey and, how were there barriers that you had to break and how did you get where you got?
I'll just sum it up in 1 minute. There are 2 things, right? One is I was taught as a kid that the best thing about glass is that it's breakable. So no glass can stop you, right? And then as I grew a little older, I was taught that this is where high heels can really help. Like use those heels, right? Put it to work. So I have never let glass ceilings or glass walls or anything come in the way, because I knew that if they exist, one kick and they can break, right? So it's and that's the attitude and that's the mentality I ask every girl to have, right? Because most of the time it's the glass ceilings in our head that stops us than the real glass ceilings out there. And I can say this with full experience, because I am a non-engineer in a technology field, and I have not faced those glass ceilings outside. The biggest glass ceilings I've faced existed in my head. So that's rule one. I think rule two for me is, and I was again taught this in my last company, that when you are different, at Intel, when I joined, which was in the 90s, it was very rare to have a non-engineer and that too a woman. I mean, nobody knew why I was there. And I myself felt like a complete fish out of water. And I think, at that point, someone very senior mentor told me that when you are different and you walk into a room, everyone is looking at you. Everyone is curious about you because they want to know what on earth have you done to get a seat at that table? Why are you in the room? So you have two options, right? One is you can duck for cover. You can say, I don't want this attention, and you can duck for cover and you can hide. And the second is you can grab that attention because you are going to have the captive audience, not everybody else who's like everybody else in the room. So you are going to have that captive interest in audience. You can grab that attention and you can put that attention, you can make that an advantage, provided, of course, you've done your homework. You've done the work, you know what to say, you know how to add value. So that taught me that my so-called weakness, which is my difference, whether it's my gender or whatever, is actually my biggest strength. It's how I see it and how I use it. So to any girl out there, I would just say, own your gender, make that your strength, embrace it. And, all these barriers, they're either man-made or they're woman-made, and it's not all man-made. There are quite a few that are woman-made. And anything that is made by us can absolutely be broken. So that's my short advice.
Thank you so much, and so beautifully said. And you're so right about, how so much of this is really in our minds. It does come from a lot of cultural sort of, context that we grew up with. But, some of our experiences have been in the ground when we ask girls to talk about, their dreams. They usually sort of mouth the dreams that their parents are dreaming for them or, someone else. But you really have to sort of dig deep inside to figure out exactly what is your dream. So to be able to even figure out that you have a right to dream, and then you can dream big, and then there is no glass ceiling that exists because you can obviously, like you said, break it. So thank you so much for sharing that. I think this is absolutely apt time for me to bring Supriya in the conversation. Supriya is a young member of Girl Rising, 11th grader, lives in Delhi, and a poet. So Supriya, if I can ask you to share with us a little bit about your journey, what's your journey been like, and how did you come to become a poet?
Hi, I'm Supriya, and today I'll be sharing about my journey of transformation from being a quiet, shy, and underconfident girl who never even came in front of the class and spoke a few lines to becoming a confident and independent girl who can travel on her own, find her own ways, and even stand up on the stage and perform in front of thousands of people. So I was this girl who always thought that I'm not good enough, people don't like me, and nobody wants to be my friend. So I judged myself when I be part of Teach for India classroom and met my teacher. That's when my life changed, because she always encouraged me to do everything that I was always afraid of doing. She taught me that I should have the courage to face all the challenges that make me feel that I'm not good enough. And I should always try to discover my potential, my capabilities, and discover myself. And that's where my journey started. She gave me this opportunity to teach students of my age as well as students younger than me and older than me. And I was like, how can I teach them? Like, I do not know anything and I'm still a student. I'm learning myself. But and especially the older kids, because I felt that they are more experienced than me and they are more capable, they know more than me. But then she helped me and encouraged me, and that's when I did it. And that's when I realized that everyone is a teacher and everyone is a learner. And I was much more capable than I thought I was. And after that, I became a part of this organization called Slam Out Loud. And I started writing and performing poetry, and I became a spoken word artist. And with time, I realized that writing and performing poetry is my passion. I really love being on the stage and performing in front of so many people. And I felt that this is something, this passion of mine makes me feel that I exist. Like, if I don't write poetry, I don't perform on the stage, I feel I do not exist in this world. But when I do that, I feel that I exist and I hold a place no matter how small it is. And that when I perform, I feel like my voice matters, and it is powerful enough to inspire people to bring a change and make change happen. And that's why I feel like writing and performing always. And poetry has not only been something of passion, but it has also helped me build myself, accept myself. Like, I used to be someone who was judging my own self, but now I accepted myself, love myself. And I believe that it is only when we start to accept and love ourselves the way we are, and only the world loves us. And poetry has helped me with, and that's how I have been transformed. And I think, like, when I heard all of you talk about digital platform and digital divide and technology, I thought of my experience, that what I have been seeing and in my look at, that we girls, we feel like we do not feel asked for things. We have seen boys ask for things like it's their right, and they will get it the moment they are. Girls, being a girl, we feel like if we even ask, we won't get that thing, and that's why we do not ask for it. If we feel empowered, then we will ask and we will get it. And I feel following my passion and having realized that I have a passion has really helped me feel empowered and ask for opportunities, seek opportunities. And also, like, I have been fortunate enough to have access to internet and technology and use it in the best way. But even if a lot of girls who have access, they're not educated enough to make the best use of it. So I feel that lack of education and that lack of empowerment is there. And if that is fulfilled and that is tackled, then this problem can be solved. And every girl can rise and every girl can grow on their own, and will feel empowered to grow.
Thank you so much, Supriya, and couldn't agree more. Actually, sometimes it takes something as little as just holding a little girl's hand to say that, you are good enough, you can do this, you can just achieve what you want to, and that just helps, to be able to gain that confidence, and with that comes the agency, and with that, it just opens the world of opportunities. I know that we are running out of time, but I really do not want to end this discussion so quickly. So just one last question to each one of my panelists at the occasion of International Day of Girl 2020, that one message that you may want to give to be able to close this, whatever left, the digital gender divide, so that most girls and most women can use this platform and really sort of access the world of opportunities equally. One message that we can commit to ourselves on this day. I'll start with you, Debjani, and then Rajan. And
this time you should start with Rajan.
Yeah, I think first of all, it's very, very inspired to hear this story. I look forward to actually hearing some poetry. Very, 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 very excited about what you're doing, and congratulations. It's so wonderful to hear hear your story, right? I mean, look, I think if there's one thing I would say is just ask, right? I think the world is an awesome place, and now with digital and the internet, there's 4 billion people connected to the internet. And so in many ways, if your circle of influence and your circle of connectivity used to be, 5 or 10 or 50 people in your village or your community or your town, today your circle, your community now is 4 billion people around the world, right? So if there's one thing I would leave behind when it comes to this particular topic is just ask, because now you have 4 billion people that you can ask for, and keep asking, and I tell entrepreneurs this, which is, the single biggest thing that people don't do enough of is asking. Just ask. And 9 out of 10 times you'll get a no, but one out of those 10 times you'll get a yes. And that yes will change your life.
Love it. Just keep asking till you get it. Thanks, Rajan. Mamta, do you want to go next?
Coming from the background that I now have, development background, my message is that let's not treat gender as a standalone issue or a standalone SDG. It cuts across everything that we do. So any program, any policy, any issue that we're working in, let gender be a parameter we constantly go on watching for, measuring, and improving. Only then the real change would come.
Yeah, and I would just add to what Mamta and Rajan said and add 2 more things to that. One is we have to keep our girls safe. We cannot ignore what's going on in the country. We cannot ignore what's going around us, and we cannot be unaffected by it. So I think as a community, priority 1 is to ensure we keep our girls safe. We give them a chance to grow up, because then everything else will happen. And to the girls, I think it's important, especially in the digital world, to take security, to take safety seriously. It makes a big difference if each of us know, as we navigate through the digital world, how do we keep ourselves safe? Because there too we have a problem. And I think that's a very important thing we often forget. And the second thing to a girl would be that when you set goals in life, make financial independence your biggest goal. Because if you can achieve that, everything else will follow. Everything else will follow. But not being financially dependent on someone changes our lives. So make that financial independence your biggest priority and your biggest goal, because that's what will get you and I'm not talking about the love and respect of others, but that's what will get you to love and respect yourself. So that has to be priority 1.
Great. Thank you so much. Some great words of advice from some role models here. Just bringing it to the end, I'm going to ask Supriya to share her words that she has recited together in a poem for this occasion, and especially on Rajan's demand. Supriya, will you share your little poem with us?
Yes. I believe that my identity is more than the pink I'm supposed to wear. I'm strong enough. I'm strong enough to choose the roads and not be confined by the walls of my home. I believe being a girl is being strong enough to fight my battles, no matter how often I'm told that I am not made for it. I just can't do it. I believe I can search for my own boundless passion. I can strive to be an independent learner. I can make my life processes my education that includes my joy and self-esteem, my motives and decisions, and my own inventions, my own creations. And I believe that I can be a voice for everyone, everywhere. Thank you.
Wow. A virtual round of applause for you, Supriya. We are with you to ensure your dreams and your aspirations come true.
That was brilliant, Supriya. Lovely.
Absolutely. And with this, thank you so much, Devjani, Rajan, Mamta, and Supriya for taking time out of your busy schedules and joining us today and sharing your thoughts and your insights. Girl Rising aims to bridge the existing gender gap, which seems to have widened during this epidemic, or at least getting a little better, as the pandemic surge continues across the globe and with no end date to pandemic in sight, it is important for us to come together for plausible solutions to better manage the issues without anyone being left behind. We will be consolidating some of these amazing recommendations coming out of this discussion into a report for wider dissemination. Thank you so much. Thank you all, and enjoy the rest of the summit. Thank you.
Thank you, Nidhi.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Really means a lot to us. Thank you.
7 things I wish I knew when I was a teenager. 1. Being alone is not the same as being lonely. Learning to be by yourself is like learning how to ride a bicycle. It is all about balance. You will fall, patriarchy will break your baby teeth, but every time you fall on your knees, rise like a wild sapling making its way out of the concrete. 2. Take care of yourself. Your body is your first home. Your imagination is your first friend, and your reflection is your first love. So learn to love you before you love someone else. And when someone does come on a white horse and says that he's here to rescue you, show him you own the goddamn fort. The dragon he wants to slay is your pet, and you are the queen who will win this game of chess without the king on board. You will keep rising until you reach the glass ceiling and break it. 3. Know yourself so damn well that when you meet eyes that pretend to be mirrors, you shatter every one of them. Because eyes are meant to be windows, and what people say about you tells you more about them than it does about you. So rise above their judgment, as if you were a wave that took a leap of faith for yourself and touched the sky. 4. Your life doesn't have to revolve around serving other people. You are the sun. Let the world revolve around you. And people will say that the sun may rise, but it always sets. But remind them that it doesn't. It is always there. Just because they got blind spots after seeing how bright you are and they turn their backs on you, doesn't mean you stopped existing. Doesn't mean you stopped shining. 5. Time is your friend. It may feel like you have a clock in your backbone and you're running out of life, but use the hands of time to sculpt you a future you want, because you can be anything you want whenever you want. 6. Be on the pursuit of pursuits. Don't settle for one answer, one purpose, one happy ending, one destination. You're not just a girl or a woman. So try everything, because you are more. 7. The world cannot be saved by one person in one day. So don't burden yourself with that responsibility. Do not give in the guilt for not saving the world from itself. Because saving one life is like saving the humanity, and it is okay if the one life you save is yours. Thank you. I am Mariam Saigal, and I am Girl Rising.
I guess for now you've got the last laugh.
I'm sorry if I seem uninterested, or I'm not listening, or I'm indifferent. Truly, I ain't got no business here, but since my friends are here, I just came to kick it. But really, I would rather be at home all by myself, not in this room with people who don't even care about my well-being. I don't dance, don't ask, I don't need a boyfriend, so you can't go back. Please enjoy your party, I'll be here somewhere in the corner under clouds of marijuana with this boy who's hollering I can hardly hear. Over this music I don't listen to, and I don't wanna get with you, so tell my friends that I'll be over here. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh. I ask myself what
What an incredible performance that was. I am feeling really inspired. Mariam, your beautifully strung together poem is sure to inspire many, many of our viewers today. Thank you so much. I personally also cannot wait to watch Nina's documentary, which shines the spotlight on our very, very myopic views on skin color. It's so unfortunate and yet so rampant. This summer, Girl Rising also launched My Story, which is the Girl Rising Storytelling Challenge in partnership with HP. We invited people from around the world to share their story of how they're responding to this moment in time, how they're responding to the pandemic, the needs of others, and making a difference in their communities. The response was tremendous. We have received more than 1,500 stories from over 90 countries. I would like to share some of them right now, actually, two of them.
My name is Lela Jenkins. I'm 13 years old. I live in Manberg. My community is very beautiful because all people is busy with trees and flowers and it looks very beautiful. My community is dangerous because gangsters is walking with guns in front of the children. My community is helpful. They give food to poor and people that's on the streets. It's very sad because maybe one day your children's gonna ask how was your child's life. So it's not gonna be nice to tell them that they were running with big guns outside and just in front of the children. In a perfect world, there must be no gangsters and people must help each other. Be caring. The Brave support us a lot. It's important to be with Brave because they learn a lot of things there and it's only for girls. The senior leaders, they give us work to do. It's a help, like they support and protect a person a very lot. I like people to be happy. I like helping girls because if they're happy, then I'm also happy. Girls is important because they give me hope.
हमें नहीं लगता है कि लड़कियों को कैद करके और बुरखे में करके रखना चाहिए। अगर वो अपने मन से साफ और सच्चे दिल की है तो उसको चाहे जहां भी भेज देंगे उसके साथ कुछ गलत हो ही नहीं सकता।
मेरा नाम खुशबू है। हम लखनऊ से हैं। हम बीकॉम थर्ड ईयर के स्टूडेंट हैं। फ्यूचर में हम एक सोशल वर्कर बनना चाहते हैं। जैसे समस्याओं को अपने समुदाय से हमने दूर किया है, ऐसी हर जगह की समस्याओं को दूर करना चाहते हैं। जब हम पढ़ने जाते थे तो मेरी तरफ के बच्चे पढ़ने नहीं जाते थे। ऐसा नहीं कि बच्चे पढ़ना नहीं चाहते थे, उनके माता पिता ही उन्हें पढ़ाना नहीं चाहते थे। उनको लगता था कि पढ़ा लिखा कर करेंगे क्या, करना तो आखिरकार झाड़ू बर्तन पोछा है। और ये बात सुनकर हमें बहुत दुख होता था। फिर हमने एक नुक्कड़ नाटक तैयार किया जो अपने समुदाय में दिखाया और उस नुक्कड़ नाटक से काफ़ी लोगों को प्रभाव पड़ा और उन्होंने कहा कि हाँ, अब हम अपने बच्चे स्कूल में भेजेंगे पढ़ने के लिए। मैं घर पे फ्री ट्यूशन देती हूँ। ये वो बच्चे हैं जिनका लेट एडमिशन हुआ, वो बाकियों से पीछे ना रह जाए, इसलिए मैं उन्हें घर पे पढ़ाती हूँ। मिलान की ट्रेनिंग की वजह से ही मैं स्कूल में 20 बच्चों का एडमिशन करा पाई। अगर मिलान ना होता तो शायद हम ये सिर्फ सोच कर ही रह जाते और कुछ ना कर पाते। मेरी ख्वाहिशों को मिलान ने पूरा किया। मैं हूँ एक गर्ल आइकन।
जब आप अपने इर्द गिर्द लोगों को सिर्फ इसलिए मरता हुआ देखें कि उन्हें दवाओं पे लिखी हुई तारीखें न पढ़ने आए, जब आप अपने इर्द गिर्द बच्चियों को अपनी जिंदगियों से हाथ धोता हुआ सिर्फ इसलिए देखें कि उन्हें अस्पताल ले जाने की इजाजत नहीं, जब आप अपने इर्द गिर्द जुल्म और ज्यादती की दास्तान रकम होते हुए देखें, जब आप अपने इर्द गिर्द एक जानवर एक औरत में फर्क महसूस होता हुआ ना देखें, तो फिर हादसात होते हैं। और मेरा ईमान है कि हादसात आपकी ज़िंदगी को जीने का नया रुख देते हैं। Hello everyone, I'm Humaira Bachchan from Pakistan with my inspiring story. I'm a first female child from my family to get education. It's like not getting just education, it's fight for education, because I believe the education is the basic necessity of life and it's a basic right for every human being. मुझे लगता है कि इस इल्म की हमारी बच्चियों को ज़्यादा ज़रूरत है, अशद से ज़रूरत है, बिकॉज अगर हम एक माशरती तब्दीली चाहते हैं और हम एक लार्जर सोसाइटिकल इम्पैक्ट क्रिएट करना चाहते हैं तो उसके लिए बड़ा ज़रूरी है कि हम अपनी बेटियों को मजबूत और बाइख्तियार बनाएं, उन्हें पर दें उड़ने के लिए, उन्हें एहसास दें जीने का, उनकी ख्वाहिशों और खुशियों को एक नया रंग दें। आज मैं इस इंटरनेशनल गर्ल चाइल्ड डे के ऊपर अपनी 2 स्ट्रॉन्ग और बहादुर बच्चियों के साथ, जो मुझे ईमान है कि ज़िंदगी ने जो चैलेंजेस मुझे दिए वो चैलेंजेस मैं इनके लाइफ में फेस ना कराऊँ, मैं इनके लिए एक स्पेशल पाथ क्रिएट करूँ और वही स्पेशल पाथ मैं अपने मुल्क की हर बेटी के लिए क्रिएट करूँ, उसे ये एहसास दूँ, उसे ये हौसला दूँ जीने का कि तुम्हारे लिए वो सेफ एनवायरनमेंट क्रिएट कर सकूँ जो हमारे मुल्क के अंदर इस वक्त चल रहे हैं हालात। डिस्पाइट के बहुत सारे चैलेंजेस हैं, बेतहाशा चैलेंजेस हैं, इस वक्त हमारी बच्चियां अनसेफ हैं, बट हम उनके लिए एक सेफ और एक हेल्दी एनवायरनमेंट क्रिएट कर सकते हैं। इस आज़म के साथ कि इस मुल्क की हर बेटी बाइख्तियार और पढ़ी लिखी होगी, मैं अपने प्लेटफॉर्म, हमारी अपनी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन रोशन पाकिस्तान फाउंडेशन के प्लेटफॉर्म के साथ, इस आज़म के साथ कि हर बेटी बाइख्तियार और तालीम याफ्ता होगी, और इस उम्मीद के साथ कि वी आर गर्ल राइजिंग।
I'm Kanaz Baloch, an ardent believer in the power of education. I belong to Balochistan, one of the provinces of Pakistan. It's known for its natural beauty. While overall literacy rate is 41% and female literacy rate is just 27%, despite these barriers, there is immense potential in the young girls of Balochistan. My message for the young girls of Balochistan is to learn, fly high, dream big, to seek support and make your dreams into reality, and use your skills and support other girls to grow. And on this International Girls' Day, I call upon my government, civil society, international community. Let's together work for the campaigning of 78% girls out of these schools in Balochistan. Build schools, playgrounds, and make libraries. Create safe community engagement spaces and critical thinking. Once we provide all these opportunities, we already seen that they play a vital role. Like myself as an educator, many will be researchers, thinkers, scientists, CEOs, politicians in their own communities. Happy International Girls' Day.
Thank you for those inspiring messages. And now we're so happy to have our colleague Nasreen Samad, Girl Rising Country Manager in Pakistan, join us. Nasreen will be speaking with Fahir Rabia Pasha, Executive Director, Pakistan Alliance for Girls Education, Lala Rukh, Founder, Science Views, and Sadia Adnan, Director, Academics at Federal Directorate of Education, on exploring some of the creative solutions that community-based organizations have developed to ensure young people keep learning during school disruptions and lockdowns during COVID-19. Stay here on the main stage for this vital discussion.
And I will be moving to a breakout session for a Meet the Changemaker with Eliza Hatch. Eliza is the founder and CEO of Cheer Up Love, an organization that uses the power of storytelling to help women reclaim spaces of sexual assault. If you want to join the breakout room, just take your cursor to the upper left-hand corner on the drop-down menu and you can choose the breakout session. We've been having a few issues with Crowdcast that I just want to highlight so that if anything weird happens, you are all informed, which is that if you are in a session that you don't want to be in or that you want to move in between, just go to the top and click schedule and you can select your session there, and so you can move between the sessions freely. I hope that makes sense and that I will see some of you in my breakout room soon. Thank you.
Welcome and Assalamu alaikum to this special discussion on forward-looking solutions to distance learning. A conversation with change makers on ground as part of our International Girls' Day Summit. I'm Nasreen Samad, currently working with Girl Rising, a non-profit organization to implement Explore More program in Pakistan. We use extraordinary stories of ordinary girls from across Pakistan and across the world to impart life skills. آج ہم ان ساتھیوں سے بات کریں گے جنہوں نے کووڈ-19 جیسے کرائسس میں اپنی قائدانہ صلاحیتوں کا استعمال کرتے ہوئے ایسے کمیونٹیز جہاں پر ایکسس کا ایشو ہے، جہاں پہ لکھنے پڑھنے کے لیے انسٹیٹیوشنز کلوز ڈاؤن ہیں، اس میں جو ہے کام کیا اور اپنی بہترین کاوشوں کے ذریعے ان بچوں تک جو ہے تعلیم کی رسائی کو ممکن بنایا. So I would start with the introduction. So today we have with us Ms. Lela Rukh. Lala is a social entrepreneur and a science communicator. She is the founder and director of Science Fuse, a social enterprise working to change how science is perceived and communicated. Through her initiative, she is inspiring more children to pursue STEM education and career. She is also a Malala Fund Education Champion, Pakistan Acumen Fellow, and Ashoka Change Maker Exchange Fellow. Thank you, Lela Rukh, for joining us today. ہم سائنس فیوز کے بارے میں مزید آپ سے بات کریں گے. Then we have us Ms. Fajr Pasha. Fajr is one of a leading advocate for strengthening education phenomena for girls in Pakistan. With 17 years of experience in setting up and leading social enterprises in England and Pakistan, she is currently leading Pakistan Alliance for Girls Education as an executive director, and one of our partners for Explore More in Pakistan as well. Fajr has won Inspiring Young Women for the Inspired Sister Initiative in UK. And also she received 2020 Top Global Key Influencers by EYS Magazines for her efforts in Pakistan. Thank you so much, Fajr, for joining us today. And we are looking forward to discuss your community-driven approaches to engage the most marginalized communities in Pakistan.
Thank you.
And our next panelist is Sadia Adnan. Sadia has a very rich experience in the education sector in Pakistan. Currently, Sadia is the Director Academics at Federal Directorate of Education, Pakistan. In addition to managing diverse projects in the department, currently her portfolio encompasses all COVID-19 response strategies in educational settings. One aspect of this is to provide academic assistance to Pakistan's first ever educational channel, TeleSchool, one of the very innovative initiatives of Government of Pakistan. Sadia holds MPhil degree in Education, Leadership and Management from Flinders University. She is an alumni of Australian Award Scholarship. Thank you, Sadia, for taking out time to join us today. اب باقاعدہ ہم اگر اپنے پینل کا اسٹارٹ کریں تو آئی وڈ لائک all of you to just brief us, introduce us about your initiatives, جو بہترین کام آپ نے کمیونٹیز میں کیا ہے, either in high tech like approaches کو یوز کرتے ہوئے, low tech, یا پھر ایسی کمیونٹیز جہاں پہ کوئی ٹیکنالوجی نہیں, تو وہاں پہ آپ نے کس طرح کے اپروچز جو ہے ان کو یوز کیا. So I think we can start with Lela Rukh and then Fajr and followed by Sadia Adnan.
Thank you so much, Nasreen. جیسے آپ نے تھوڑا انٹروڈکشن میں بتایا کہ I lead an organization called Science Fuse. بہت ہی سادہ زبان میں ہمارا مقصد ہے بچوں کی سائنس کے ساتھ دوستی کروانا. سو دو چیزیں ہیں جس پہ ہمارا فوکس ہے. ایک تو یا دو گیپس ہیں جو ہم فل کرنے کی کوشش کر رہے ہیں. ہم پچھلے 3.5 سالوں سے پاکستان میں کام کر رہے ہیں, اور جو فارمل ایجوکیشن ہے پاکستان میں سائنس اور میتھس کے حوالے سے, اس کی کوالٹی میں بہت زیادہ امپروومنٹ کی ضرورت ہے. ہمیں اندازہ ہے کہ فارملی جس طرح سے سائنس پاکستان میں پڑھائی جاتی ہے یا پرسیو کی جاتی ہے, اس میں ابھی بہت گیپ ہے اور اس پہ بہت کام کرنے کی ضرورت ہے, تاکہ ہم سائنس کو صرف سبجیکٹ نہ رہنے دیں, ایک ایسی چیز بنائیں جو کہ بچوں کی کیوریوسٹی, ان کی سینس آف ونڈر کو نرچر کرے, اور جو سائنٹیفک کانسیپٹس ہیں ان کی انڈرسٹینڈنگ اور سائنٹیفک لٹریسی ہر بچے کے لیے امپورٹنٹ ہے, نو میٹر واٹ دے گرو اپ ٹو بی. سائنسدان بنے یا نہ بنے, لیکن یہ بہت امپورٹنٹ ہے کہ سائنٹیفک لٹریسی ہمارے بچوں کی اور ہمارے آنے والی پاپولیشن کی بہت اسٹرانگ ہو. اور دوسری جو ایک کمی ہے پاکستان میں وہ ہے کہ بچے انفارملی سائنس کے ساتھ انگیج نہیں کرتے. اسکول سے باہر, کلاس روم سے باہر کوئی مواقع نہیں ہے کہ بچے سائنس کے ساتھ انگیج کر سکے. جیسے जो आप देखते हैं कि जिन ममालिक में जिनकी इकोनॉमी बहुत स्ट्रांग है वहाँ पे एक बहुत डीप इंटरेस्ट होता है साइंस के साथ यंग लोगों का, दे परस्यू स्टेम करियर्स, और उसकी वजह ये होती है कि देर आर बिग म्यूजियम्स, देर आर बिग फेस्टिवल्स एंड देर आर अदर अपॉर्चुनिटीज जहाँ क्लासरूम से बाहर बच्चे इंगेज कर सकते हैं साइंस के साथ। तो साइंस फ्यूज ऐसी अपॉर्चुनिटीज क्रिएट करता है। हम स्कूल्स के अंदर, स्कूल्स के बाहर ऐसे प्रोग्राम्स कंडक्ट करते हैं जहाँ बच्चे इनफॉर्मली साइंस के साथ इंगेज करें, जहाँ वो साइंसदान बन के मजेदार एक्सपेरिमेंट्स करके फिर साइंस को समझ सकें, सीख सकें। तो ये इन शॉर्ट है अबाउट साइंस फ्यूज। आई थिंक आईड लाइक हमने कोविड में कैसे काम किया है, मे बी आई कैन कम बैक टू दैट if the other panelists can also maybe talk about the work that they do, and then maybe I can come back to the point कि हम कोविड में क्या कर रहे हैं।
Sure. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. First of all, sir, Nasreen, thank you so much for having us all here. And I think we all know each other, luckily, so that's a good thing. Just a bit of brief about Pakistan Alliance for Girls' Education. I won't go into the education crisis that we're facing in Pakistan because that itself is a long conversation. But as we know that we have the education issues, and that includes out of school children and the quality of education, as Lala Rukh has mentioned, in the schools as well, which has a much bigger impact on girls than boys. So when we're looking at the stats and figures, we see that the stats and figures speak loud and clear for us. You could see that more girls are out of school, more girls drop out of school, more girls are vulnerable to issues that we have in the society, and how that has an impact if they're not going to school. So when looking at all of that is when we came, is why Page was set up, and Page has established itself as an organization that has become the leading organization to advocate for girls' education in Pakistan and globally as well for Pakistan. So creating it into a platform that leads on policy and advocacy, but also on programs on community level as well, so we can connect the both, so we can understand what's happening on the community levels and what exactly is needed. So while tech is fantastic, a lot of time tech is not the solution for us at the moment. So that's something that we can come back to, especially during COVID-19. We've seen how the gap we have within our education has been highlighted because of the COVID-19, and because of the fact that we are not we're still not ready. When we're talking about online education, we're not ready for making sure that kids are able to. Majority of children in Pakistan weren't able to access education, which is a very sad state of affairs. But that's at least a place that it's been highlighted, and I'm hoping that policymakers and people who are in the place and position to do something about it would can see very clearly that what a pandemic has done to education in Pakistan, which is already in a bad state. So that's about it. I think, we've got, if I can just quickly briefly tell you, we're running a Star Schools program. That's part of Pakistan's largest education initiative, Link Kids to School program. And Star School, we've established about 139 Star Schools at the moment across Pakistan. The number should have been much bigger, but due to COVID, we had to obviously put that on hold. So from October onwards, we're hoping to have new openings, inshallah. In addition, we run an Aim High initiative, which is all about mentoring, counseling, and raising aspirations of girls, especially at secondary level, as we have the highest dropout rate at that level, and we need to work on reducing that dropout rate and keep those girls engaged within the education process as well. In addition, we've just introduced the app initiative, which came about because of COVID-19 as well. With that, we run nutrition campaigns within our schools. We run hygiene campaigns within the schools. We do a lot of add-on activities or fun, more fun-based activities for children in school, in addition to the curriculum that they're actually learning in the schools. So we can enrich the learning so they can learn more. And Lela Rukhwa is hopefully also one of our partners who will be delivering their science-based stories in the school so kids can learn, because we believe that learning should be fun, learning should be safe, learning should give you knowledge and thinking skills, and turn our children, and especially our girls, into girls of future, inshallah. So that's about us.
Assalamu alaikum, Nasreen, and thank you so very much for having. And so good to hear to Fajr and Lala Roop, and especially the passion of Fajr was actually reflecting in even in her eyes. तो आप दोनों बहुत ही वंडरफुल अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं फ्रॉम द स्कोप ऑफ गवर्नमेंट ऑफ पाकिस्तान गर्ल्स एजुकेशन के ऊपर पिछले 2-3 सालों के अंदर बहुत ज़्यादा काम हुआ है और बिकॉज एक जिसे कहते हैं कि एक पॉलिसी शिफ्ट जो है आपको विजिबिलिटी नजर आती है पिछले 3 सालों के अंदर एक्सेस और क्वालिटी ऑफ एजुकेशन दोनों एस्पेक्ट को सामने रखते हुए एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट जो स्टेप पिछले 2 सालों में हमें विजिबली नजर आया खासतौर पर इस्लामाबाद के अंदर वो दैट वाज एस्टैब्लिशमेंट ऑफ 220 ICT labs in all the girls education girls schools और आप बहुत रिमोट एरिया में भी जाके देखें तो वहाँ पे भी गर्ल्स की जो है उनको ICT फैसिलिटीज जो है वो दी गई हैं देन देयर मलाला फंड वाज आल्सो वन ऑफ द मेजर इनिशिएटिव जिसने बहुत बड़ा रोल प्ले किया है खासतौर पे हमारे जो रिमोट एरियाज है वहाँ पे गर्ल्स की एक्सेस टू एजुकेशन को इम्प्रूव करने के लिए एंड ऑल्सो टुवर्ड्स द कम्युनिटी बिल्डअप और कम्युनिटी के अंदर ये थोड़ी प्रोपगेशन को इम्प्रूव करने में बहुत हेल्प आउट किया फजर ने बहुत राइटली पॉइंट आउट किया कि कोविड ने एक्चुअली जितनी बुरी तरह से एजुकेशन को हिट किया है ये इसकी रिपरकशंस जो है हमें बहुत आहिस्ता आहिस्ता नजर आना शुरू होंगी अभी फिलहाल तो हम फेस फ्रंट के ऊपर जो है अपने हम इमरजेंसी डीलिंग में मैनेज तो हम कर रहे हैं लेकिन इसके जो बहुत लॉन्ग लास्टिंग इफेक्ट्स है वो हमें डेज टू कम जो है नजर आना शुरू होंगे और खासतौर पे जहाँ पे ऑलरेडी एक ऐसा मुल्क जहाँ पे 2.2 मिलियन चिल्ड्रन जो है वो आउट ऑफ स्कूल हैं और उसमें भी गर्ल्स की बहुत बड़ी तादाद है और स्कूल्स के बंद होने के बाद जो एक इनका ऑलरेडी जो कंटिन्यूटी में गैप आने के बाद जो हमारा ड्रॉप आउट रेशियो जो बड़ा है ये स्टेटिस्टिक्स तो अभी हमारे पास नहीं है ये तो वक्त बताएगा कि कितना उसमें डिफरेंस आया है लेकिन देयर इज ऑलवेज सिल्वर लाइनिंग इन द डार्केस्ट ऑफ क्लाउड तो जितनी भी बहुत ब्लीक सिचुएशन है लेकिन पीपल लाइक फजर एंड लाला रोफ एंड ऑल्सो द गवर्नमेंट एजेंसीज दे हैव बीन वर्किंग वेरी हार्ड इस गैप को फिल किया जा सके और जो बच्चे हमारे कोविड की वजह से घरों में कन्फाइन होकर रह गए हैं उन तक एजुकेशन को कैसे पहुंचाया जाए तो टेली स्कूल वाज आल्सो वन ऑफ द प्रोजेक्ट जो इनिशियली उस वक्त गवर्नमेंट ने कंसीव तो किया था कि उन 40 मिलियन बच्चों को ज़हन में रखते हुए कि जो 40 मिलियन स्कूल एज बच्चे जो स्कूल बंद होने की वजह से घर में कन्फाइन होकर रह गए तो स्कूल उन बच्चों तक पहुंचाने का क्या तरीका हो सकता है और पाकिस्तान जैसे मुल्क में जहाँ पे बहुत डाइवर्स जोग्राफिकल कंडीशंस हैं बहुत डाइवर्स सोशल इकोनॉमिक स्ट्राटा हैं इंटरनेट की कवरेज इंटरनेट एक्सेसिबिलिटी एंड अफोर्डेबिलिटी ये सारे बहुत सारे फैक्टर्स हैं जिनको सामने रख के जो वाहिद सोल्यूशन समझ में आया वो ये था कि अगर टेलीविजन चैनल को ऑपरेट किया जाए तो उससे हम 95% जो है एक्सेस को इंश्योर कर सकते हैं देन द प्रोजेक्ट स्टार्टेड एंड अल्लाह हैज़ बीन वेरी काइंड कि बहुत कम टाइम के अंदर विद इन वीक्स जो है वो इसको हम रियलाइज कर सके और मार्च में अनाउंस होने के बाद हम मिड ऑफ मार्च अप्रैल में इसको हमने लॉन्च करके इसको स्टार्ट कर ली एंड टिल डेट टेली स्कूल जो है वो डेली 10 आवर्स की ट्रांसमिशन जो वो दे रहा है इनिशियली गैलप के सर्वे ने हमें जो कम्युनिकेट किया कि विद इन फर्स्ट मंथ जो है टेली स्कूल हैज़ रीच्ड 12 मिलियन हाउस होल्ड्स इट वाज अ वेरी लार्ज नंबर और उसके बाद फिर इस्लामाबाद में हमें बहुत सारी अच्छी सक्सेस स्टोरीज छोटी छोटी मिलने को मिली एक स्टोरी खासतौर पे आई वुड डेफिनेटली लाइक टू शेयर कि आई मेट दैट फादर ही वाज अ कैब ड्राइवर जो अपने बच्चियों को स्कूल भेजने को तैयार नहीं था और उसकी फैमिली ने बहुत फोर्स करके किसी एक बच्ची को स्कूल में भेजा था अब जब कोविड की वजह से स्कूल बंद हो गया उसकी वो बच्ची भी घर में बंद थी स्कूल वालों ने भी बहुत मैसेज किए कि जब आप ऐसे करें कि अपने बच्चों को टेली स्कूल पे शिफ्ट करें और स्कूल में तो नहीं आ सकते तो उनको वहाँ बिठाना शुरू करें एंड देन वेरी हैप्पीली उस बच्ची की मदर ने भी स्कूल में आके बताया कि इनका फादर जो है चूँकि ज़ाहिर टैक्सी तो वो चला नहीं पा रहा है कि सारे हालात ख़राब हैं और बाहर तो निकल नहीं रहा है तो वो खुद बच्चों के साथ बैठता है और उसने खुद ही हिमसेल्फ स्टार्टेड लाइक रीडिंग अलोंग विद हर गर्ल्स अपनी गर्ल्स को साथ लेके बैठता है और रोज नोटबुक लेके खुद भी पढ़ता है और उनको भी पढ़ाता है तो उससे पिक्चर्स वगैरह भी भेजी हमें इट वाज सच अ वंडरफुल लाइक स्टोरी टू नो अबाउट कि उसके बाद हमें एज अ टीम जो है एक बड़ी मोटिवेशन मिले कि फाइन ऑल्दो हम जब काम कर रहे होते हैं तो हमें उसके आउटरीच का अंदाजा नहीं हो रहा होता है लेकिन ये स्मॉल पॉकेट्स में जब उसका आउटरीच होता है और कहीं ना कहीं वो जो डिफरेंस नजर आना शुरू होता है it's going to like strengthen our belief in the work we are producing. तो इस तरह की छोटी-छोटी बहुत सारी stories हैं. I can share more. Let's talk about Lara Rook and her initiatives. I can like add more afterwards as well.
Thank you so much, Sadia. I think जिस तरफ हम direction लेके जा रहे हैं conversation का, so it is really like these initiatives are very important कि हम सब मिलके काम करें, collaborate करें और इनको amplify करें. तब जाके इनका जो है हम पूरे पाकिस्तान में जिस तरह का जो स्टैटिस्टिक है उनको हम बेहतर बना सकते हैं. स्पेशली ICT लैब का जो आइडिया है, इट लुक्स वंडरफुल. और 139 स्मार्ट स्कूल्स, आई हैव बीन टू दीज स्मार्ट स्कूल्स और आई थिंक दे आर द नीड ऑफ द टाइम. क्योंकि जब तक हम कम्युनिटी सेंट्रिक अप्रोचेस नहीं लेंगे, जब तक हम हर बच्चे तक खुद नहीं पहुंचेंगे, तो आई गेस जो ड्रॉप आउट है या जो रीच है उसके मसले को हम सॉल्व नहीं कर सकते. इसी तरह लाला रुख को मैं फॉलो कर रही हूँ सोशल मीडिया पे, एंड इट्स अमेजिंग टू सी ऑल द वीडियोस, द वे शी इज एंगेजिंग यंगर जनरेशन. क्योंकि मोस्टली जो इनके साइंटिस्ट होते हैं, दे आर यंग, दे आर यूथ, और जिस तरह का जो अप्रोच यूज हो रहा है, वेरी इंटरैक्टिव. I think, it's ray of hope for all of us. अब आगे अगर प्लीज लाला रुख आप ये बताएं कि जो इनिशिएटिव है उसके आउटकम्स क्या हैं. क्या आप सिर्फ जो हाई टेक कम्युनिटीज हैं या वो लोग जिनको इंटरनेट तक एक्सेस है उनको रीच आउट कर रहे हैं, या फिर आपने जो नेक्स्ट आपके कम्युनिटीज है वहाँ जहाँ इंटरनेट नहीं है वहाँ पर भी आपका काम करने का इरादा है?
जी बिल्कुल इरादा है. सो आई थिंक मिस फजर और मिस सादिया ने जो बातें कही मैं उन्हीं के ऊपर थोड़ा सा आगे एक्सटेंड करूंगी. एंड आईड लाइक टू टॉक अबाउट कि साइंस फ्यूज क्या करता रहा है पेंडेमिक में. सो पेंडेमिक से पहले पिछले 3.5 सालों में हमने कोई 35,000 बच्चों को इंगेज किया है, पर वो सारी इंगेजमेंट्स जो थी वो इन पर्सन थी. उसमें टेक्नोलॉजी का इतना बड़ा रोल नहीं था, लेकिन उसमें हमें बच्चों के साथ जुड़ना पड़ता था, क्लासरूम्स में जाके, या बच्चों को हमारे पास आना पड़ता था. अब उसमें जाहिर है ये लिमिटेशन है. तो कोविड में जहाँ, जैसे मिस सादिया ने कहा कि जहाँ बैरियर्स हैं वहाँ पे कुछ सिल्वर लाइनिंग भी है. अब हमें कोविड में सोचना पड़ा, वी हैड टू पिवट, वी हैड टू रीथिंक कि अब हम क्या करें कि हम इस वक्त में पेंडेमिक में एजुकेशन जो है ये एक बहुत बड़ा क्राइसिस है. इट्स वन ऑफ द वर्स्ट हिट एरियाज इन द होल वर्ल्ड. तो हम इस वक्त रुक नहीं सकते, वी हैव टू इनोवेट. हमें अब एजुकेशन को रीथिंक करना है, हमें इस तरह के इनोवेटिव सॉल्यूशंस लेके आने हैं. क्योंकि देखें पेंडेमिक में बहुत सारे बैरियर्स जो हैं वो एस्केलेट हुए हैं, बच्चों के ऊपर, फैमिलीज के ऊपर इकोनॉमिक बर्डन भी है, मेंटल और फिजिकल वेलबींग इज ऑल्सो एट स्टेक. तो हमें लगता है साइंस फ्यूज को कि इनफॉर्मल एजुकेशन कैन प्ले सच एन इम्पॉर्टेंट पार्ट in this time to keep our children to keep them learning. और इवन जो आउट ऑफ स्कूल बच्चे हैं उनको भी हम केटर कर सकते हैं अगर हम जिस तरह के टेली स्कूल जैसे इनिशिएटिव्स हैं, या रेडियो को अगर इस्तेमाल किया जाए, या और भी बहुत सारे मेथड्स हैं जिनको हम इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं. या ऑफ कोर्स अगर गवर्नमेंट और प्राइवेट सेक्टर मिल के टेक्नोलॉजी का जो डिजिटल डिवाइड है उसको ओवरकम कर सकता है, तो वी कैन ओपन अप सो मेनी ब्यूटिफुल एवेन्यूज फॉर आवर चिल्ड्रन. हमने क्या किया कि हमने सबसे पहले तो कंटेंट डेवलप करना शुरू किया, इस तरह का कंटेंट जो डिस्टेंस लर्निंग और डिजिटल लर्निंग के लिए सूटेड हो. तो पहला स्टेप तो ये था. उसमें मैं एक एग्जांपल आपको देती हूँ कि हमने पाकिस्तान की सबसे पहली साइंस की कहानियां लिखनी शुरू की. इस तरह की कहानियां बच्चों के लिए पाकिस्तान में उर्दू में कभी भी नहीं लिखी गई. अब आप सोचें कि इस तरह के मुश्किल कॉन्सेप्ट्स, ब्लैक होल से लेके सितारों और सियारों, वायरसेस से लेके, ये सारी चीजें हमने कहानी की शक्ल में ढाल दी. ये वो कॉन्सेप्ट्स हैं जो आप टेक्स्ट बुक्स में पढ़ते हैं तो बच्चे बोर भी हो जाते हैं और तंग भी आ जाते हैं साइंस से. इन्हें खूबसूरती से कहानी में ढालना. फिर हमने खवातीन साइंसदानों को लिया और उनकी कहानियां बनानी शुरू की. अब हमारे पास एक अच्छी लाइब्रेरी बन गई और हम इन खवातीन साइंसदानों के पोस्टर्स भी डिजाइन करवा रहे हैं, इन्हीं साइंस की कहानियों. और फिर हमने साइंस के एक्सपेरिमेंट्स की वीडियोस बनानी शुरू की. अब वो वीडियोस हम किसी भी बच्चे तक पहुंचा सकते हैं अगर उनके पास व्हाट्सएप है या यूट्यूब के ऊपर जो लिंक है हम वो उन तक पहुंचा सकते हैं. हमने क्या किया कि पिछले 3-3.5 महीनों में हमने तकरीबन 50 टीचर्स और 2000 बच्चों को रीच किया है थ्रू दीज एजुकेशनल रिसोर्सेज. हमने एक 12 हफ्तों का प्रोग्राम बनाया, एक 12 वीक प्रोग्राम, जिसमें हमने 4 पार्टनर स्कूल्स, खुजदार बलूचिस्तान में एक स्कूल, 2 लाहौर में है वो स्कूल, और एक कराची में. और ये सारे वो स्कूल हैं जो लो इनकम फैमिलीज के साथ काम करते हैं, जो अंडर प्रिविलेज्ड बच्चों के साथ काम करते हैं. और इनमें ज़्यादातर तादाद जो है वो लड़कियों की है. इन 4 स्कूल्स के साथ हमने पार्टनर अप किया और इनके टीचर्स को हमने ट्रेन किया. ये वो टीचर्स हैं जो पेंडेमिक में हमारे साथ जुड़ गए, वीकली बेसिस पे हमसे ट्रेनिंग लेते रहे जूम पर. एंड आई थिंक कि टीचर्स आर द हीरोज ऑफ दिस टाइम. ये डॉक्टर्स और नर्सेज के साथ साथ टीचर्स ने एक बड़ा कमाल रोल प्ले किया. एंड अगर गवर्नमेंट मोबिलाइज करे तो और भी गवर्नमेंट टीचर्स बहुत अच्छा रोल प्ले कर सकते हैं. تو ان ٹیچرس کو ہم نے ٹرین کیا, ان ٹیچرس نے آگے وہ لیسنس جو ہم سے ٹریننگ لی اور ہمارے ریسورسز یوز کر کے ویکلی بیسس پہ آگے اپنے بچوں کے ساتھ ٹرین کیا, ان کو انگیج کیا. تو یہ لیاری کی کمیونٹی میں کرن فاؤنڈیشن, خزدار میں اسکول آف اسکالرز ہے جو سمیرہ محبوب چلاتی ہیں, پھر 2 اسکول, ایک سنجن نگر لاہور میں اینڈ دین جونیئر لیڈر اسکول لاہور میں. تو ان کے ساتھ ہم جڑ گئے اور یہ ہماری ٹریننگ چل رہی ہے, اور اب یہ سائیکلز ہم آگے کنٹینیو کریں گے. اس کے ساتھ ہم جیسے فجر صاحبہ کے ساتھ اور ان کی ٹیم کے ساتھ ابھی گفتگو میں ہے ٹو ہاؤ ٹو کنٹینیو دیز سائیکلز, جہاں ہم ٹیچرس کو بھی امپاور کریں اور ان کے تھرو آگے بچوں کو بھی. اسی طرح ہم نے ایک آن لائن سائنس کلب شروع کیا, اس میں بھی ہم بچوں کے ساتھ جڑے ہوئے ہیں, اور 4-5 ڈفرینٹ سٹیز کے بچے, ڈائیورس سوشو اکنامک بیک گراؤنڈس کے بچے جو ہیں وہ ہمارے ساتھ جڑے ہوئے ہیں. لیکن نسرین, جو آپ نے بات کہی کہ ٹیکنالوجی کا ایکسس جن بچوں کے ساتھ پاس نہیں ہے, ان تک پہنچنا ظاہر ہے ہمارے لیے بہت مشکل رہا. اب ان کے لیے ہم اس طرح کی کتابیں بنا رہے ہیں یا اس طرح کی سائنس کٹس بنا رہے ہیں جو وہاں تک پہنچائی جا سکے, جہاں پہ اگر انٹرنیٹ کی رسائی نہیں ہے تو وہ کہانیاں, وہ کٹس, وہ ایجوکیشنل کانٹینٹ جو ہے وہ ان کے پاس ہو, تاکہ وہ اپنے ہاتھوں سے محسوس کر سکیں اور ان چیزوں کے ساتھ انگیج کر سکیں اور لرن کر سکیں. اور یہ کوالٹی سائنس پروگرامز ہیں, یہ وہ چیزیں ہیں جو کیونکہ ہمارے بچے کمپرومائز کیوں کریں, ہم کیوں کمپرومائز کریں؟ اگر میجورٹی آف آر چلڈرن بلانگ ٹو لو انکم فیملیز, تو دے آلسو ڈیزرو دا بیسٹ آف ایجوکیشن. دے ڈونٹ جسٹ ڈیزرو اے ایجوکیشن, دے ڈیزرو دا بیسٹ آف ایجوکیشن. سو آف کورس ہمارا بہت زیادہ ٹائم اور ریسورسز جا رہے ہیں ٹو ڈیولپ دس کوالٹی کانٹینٹ. اور میری درخواست ہوگی مس سعدیہ کو یا کسی بھی پلیٹ فارم کو جو سن رہے ہیں کہ پلیز اس طرح کی آرگنائزیشنز جو کوالٹی کانٹینٹ بنا رہے ہیں, ہمیں بہت ضرورت ہے ایسے پلیٹ فارمز کی جہاں یہ کانٹینٹ آگے بہت زیادہ بچوں تک پہنچ سکے, ایدر تھرو ٹیلی ویژن اور تھرو ریڈیو.
تھینک یو سو مچ لالا رخ. اور میں آپ کو بتاتی چلوں کہ ہمارے ایکسپلور موڈ پروگرام کے تھرو ہم بھی اسی طرح پارٹنرشپس کرتے ہیں, ٹیچرس کو ٹرین کرتے ہیں لائف اسکلس بیس ایجوکیشن پہ, اور وہ فردر اس کو اپنے کلاس روم میں امپلیمنٹ کرتے ہیں. تو ڈیورنگ ٹریننگ جو ایک سوال میرا ان سے اکثر ہوتا ہے کہ آپ کے بچے کیا خواب دیکھتے ہیں. تو اکثر میں مذاق بھی کرتی ہوں کہ میں بچوں کو خواب دیکھنا سکھاتی ہوں. تو جو جواب سامنے سے آتا ہے وہ اسٹینڈرڈ ہے, لائک فرام آل دا پروونسز. وہ کہتے ہیں یا تو ڈاکٹر بننا چاہتے ہیں, یا انجینئر, یا ٹیچر, یا پھر آرم فورسز جوائن کرنا چاہتے ہیں. لائک دس از دا اسٹینڈرڈ رسپانس فرام تھرو آؤٹ لائک دا کنٹری. تو اب آپ جیسا کام کر رہی ہیں یا سعدیہ یا فجر, تو آئی تھنک ہمیں اس پہ کام کرنے کی ضرورت ہے کہ ہمارے بچے اس ایک پیٹرن سے نکلے تھوڑا سا. اب آئی ٹی کا جو ہے دور ہے, انفارمیشن ٹیکنالوجی کا, انٹرپرینیورشپ کا, تو کیسے ہم اپنے بچوں کو اس طرف لے کے جائیں. تو آئی تھنک جو آپ کا انیشیٹو ہے, اٹ از گوئنگ ٹو کنٹریبیوٹ ٹو دیٹ نیریٹو ایز ویل. اور سعدیہ جس طرح کا کام کر رہی ہیں, فجر کر رہی ہیں, تو ہم اس نیریٹو کو کہ ان کو خواب ایکچولی ہم ان کو تھوڑا سا ڈفرینٹ دیکھنا سکھاتے ہیں.
اچھا, میں اس پہ بالکل آپ کی بات پہ اگر ایڈ کروں, میں نے جو آپ کو ایم ہائی کا جو میں نے آپ کو انیشیٹو مینشن کیا, تو ایم ہائی کا انیشیٹو ہم نے فیڈرل ڈائریکٹریٹ ایجوکیشن کی سیکنڈری گرلز اسکولز میں ہم نے شروع کیا تھا تقریباً 3 سال پہلے. اچھا, اس کا سارا ہی کانسیپٹ ایک تو یہ تھا کہ ہمارا ڈراپ آؤٹ ریٹ بہت ہائی ہے, میٹرک کے بعد بچیاں بہت زیادہ ڈراپ آؤٹ کر جاتی ہیں اور نہیں پروگریس کر پاتی آگے کالج اور یونیورسٹی کی طرف. تو ایک تو ہم نے اس کو ریڈیوس کرنا ہے. پھر دوسری چیز یہ تھی کہ نان ٹریڈیشنل کیریئرس کی طرف وی نیڈ ٹو اسٹارٹ تھنکنگ اباؤٹ. جیسے آپ نے بات کی کہ جب آپ کسی بچی سے بات کریں گے تو دا میکسیمم دے تھنک اباؤٹ, ان کے پاس کوئی جواب نہیں ہوگا فرسٹ. دیٹس واٹ ہیپنس, کہ ان کو دے ڈونٹ تھنک اباؤٹ اے کیریئر چوائس. پھر اگر جو سوچتی بھی ہیں وہ ٹیچر بننا چاہتی ہیں, بیکاز آبویسلی دے آر سراؤنڈیڈ بائی ٹیچرس, سو ان کے لیے وہ رول ماڈلز ہیں, تو ایک ان کے لیے وہ ہوتا ہے. پھر اگر بہت کوئی فیملی اگر ہے سپورٹیو, تو بچی ڈاکٹر بننا چاہے گی, یا پھر اگر آپ کا جو ہے نا یا اسٹیچنگ کرنا چاہے گی. مطلب یہ 2-3 آپ کے وہی ایریاز ہیں جو ایک ٹپکل آپ سمجھے, مطلب دیر از نتھنگ رانگ ود دوز ورک ایریاز, بٹ واٹ وی نیڈ ٹو ڈو از کہ میک شیور دیٹ گرلس کین سی دیٹ دا ورلڈ از فل آف اپرچونیٹیز. دیر از جسٹ سو مچ ٹو ڈو, چاہے وہ آپ انجینئرنگ میں چلے جائیں, چاہے آپ ٹیک میں چلے جائیں, چاہے آپ آرٹس میں جائیں, آپ میڈیا میں جائیں, تو دیر از لاٹس اینڈ لاٹس آف ورک ٹو ڈو. سو جو ہم نے انیشیٹو ڈیزائن کیا تھا اس میں واٹ وی ڈیڈ, وی انگیجڈ ود women coming from non traditional work backgrounds, professional backgrounds. So women who are actually high achievers, who'd actually faced a lot of challenges as well, but have managed to, mashallah, go through an amazing role models that, you know, that girls need to see. कि देखो मतलब एक खातून अगर है जो एक लड़की जैसे, you know, one of our role models, she was the first one in her family to get educated, and her family was very much against her education. फिर उस खैर उस बच्ची ने रो पिट के लड़ झगड़ के मना मना के उसने अपनी एजुकेशन कंप्लीट कर ली. देन शी गॉट ट्रेन्ड एज अ फ्रीलांसर, राइट. एंड दैट गर्ल प्रोग्रेस सो मच कि वो गांव से उठ के लाहौर शिफ्ट हो गई. ठीक है, her family, she came from a humble background. She actually bought a new house in Lahore. She shifted the whole family. She started to take care of expenses of all her family and her, you know, siblings as well. तो वो जब वो इतना ज्यादा इतना वो शिफ्ट देखते हैं लाइफ में कि अगर एक बच्ची कमिटेड और थोड़ी सी फैमिली अगर सपोर्ट करती हो पीछे बैक एंड में, कि बच्ची को वो घर पे भी लड़ाई और वो फेस ना करना पड़े. क्योंकि जब हम लोग बच्चों से बात करते हैं तो हम व्हाट वी डोंट वांट टू प्रीच इज कि तुम लोग घर आके लड़ना शुरू कर दो कि नहीं तुम लोगों ने पढ़ना है, राइट. बिकॉज वी वांट टू मेक श्योर कि जो हमारा कल्चर है, रिस्पेक्ट है, वी नीड टू कीप दैट इंटैक्ट एज वेल. सो हाउ डू वी डू दैट? यू नो, दीज आर द चैलेंजेस दैट वी फेस. कि लेकिन और फिर आपका मेजर इशू क्या होता है कि बच्चियों को कोई एक्सपोजर नहीं है, इंटरनेट का एक्सेस नहीं है. अच्छा, इन ड्यूरिंग कोविड वन ऑफ द मेजर प्रॉब्लम वी हैड कि अगर हमने वी डिजाइंड अ स्मॉल इनिशिएटिव जस्ट टू पायलट विद द नेम ऑफ टैप द ऐप. उसमें हमने भी इसी तरह कंटेंट डेवलप करके थोड़ा अपना जो हमारा करिकुलम था उस पे हमने वी थॉट कि हम उसको maybe we can start giving the tabs at home to girls who cannot you know, come to school. They don't have access to online learning otherwise. अब उसमें हमारा मेजर चैलेंज ये था कि बच्चियों को आप डिवाइस दे ही नहीं सकते घर पे जिस पे इंटरनेट एक्सेस हो. क्यों? वाई? बिकॉज पेरेंट्स डोंट अलाउ कि बच्ची अगर 10 साल की बच्ची है, 11 साल की बच्ची है, 12 साल की बच्ची है, उसको एक ऐसी डिवाइस मिल जाए जिसपे सारी उसको, you know, the world, because internet is not a safe place, right? So आपको, और because parents की भी illiteracy level बहुत high है, it's not just कि children is, तो वो उस चीज़ उन बच्चों को facilitate नहीं कर सकते, वो बच्चों को खुद समझा नहीं सकते, उनको खुद नहीं पता कि उस चीज़ को किस तरह safely use करना है. For example, इस तरह के बहुत सारे challenges जो थे, मतलब we faced. तो हमने अपनी जो tabs थी उनको हमने internet disable कर दिया था. They had no internet accessibility. And then we also made sure कि जो content है वो offline हो जाए. You know, so you just go on the tab and do your program and that's about it. वो भी हम बहुत छोटे level पे कर सके क्योंकि एक तो cost level was very much high. हमारी जो families and as you know that you know the sort of families we work with, these are the girls in families who cannot afford most of the time even a smartphone. तो ना आप उनको व्हाट्सएप पे कनेक्ट कर सकते हो, ना उनके घरों पे लैपटॉप्स आपको मिलेंगे. इंटरनेट अवेलेबिलिटी इज जीरो लिटरली. तो वो इस तरह के इतने ज्यादा आपके चैलेंजेस हैं. दिस इज व्हाई आई कीप सेइंग कि एक तो क्वालिटी का चैलेंज है ना, एक तो उन बच्चों के लिए चैलेंज है जो स्कूल आ रही हैं. तो एक हमने उस चीज को इम्प्रूव करना है कि हाउ वी कैन मेक श्योर एजुकेशन इज सेफ फॉर देम. अभी भी पूरे पाकिस्तान भर में आपको बहुत अब्यूज केसेस मिलेंगे स्कूल सेटिंग्स में होते हुए. उसको हमने किस तरह रोकना है? हाउ कैन वी मेक श्योर कि अगर बच्ची आ रही है तो शी इज एक्चुअली गेटिंग क्वालिटी ऑफ क्वालिटी एजुकेशन, जिसमें टीचर्स का सबसे ज्यादा बड़ा रोल है, और टीचर्स की ट्रेनिंग ठीक तरह से बहुत जरूरी है. इसी तरह, एंड दिस इज व्हाई आई थिंक यू नो प्रोग्राम लाइक योर्स एक्सप्लोर मोर एंड हाउ मच आवर टीचर्स हैव लर्नड फ्रॉम योर प्रोग्राम एंड हाउ देयर अप्रोचेस हैव चेंज्ड. दीज थिंग्स नीड टू कीप हैपन, यू नो, बिकॉज हमारा एक कल्चरल, आप एक देखोगे ना तो एक टिपिकल हमारा एक माइंडसेट रहा है टीचिंग की तरफ. बच्चे को डांट के पढ़ा दिया, जबरदस्ती पढ़ा दिया. We never encourage critical thinking skills. तो ये चीजें बहुत जरूरी है कि बच्चे को इंस्टेड टीचर को फैसिलिटेट करने के आप जोर जबरदस्ती से पढ़ाने की कोशिश करते हैं. तो वो एक कल्चरली हमारे उसमें वो सेट है, ब्लड में सेट है. तो उस चेंज को लाने में भी बहुत ज्यादा, मतलब आपको एक वो ट्रेनिंग जो आपका है ना, वो दैट हैज टू बी डन अगेन एंड अगेन एंड अगेन. और मैं समझती हूँ ये कभी नहीं होगा कि वो एक दफा आपने ट्रेनिंग कर ली तो इट विल ब्रिंग दैट चेंज. आपको यू विल हैव टू कीप डूइंग दैट विद द टीचर्स, क्योंकि हमारी टीचर्स ट्रेन होंगी. और मैं आई कीप गोइंग बैक टू द सेम थिंग कि given कि अगर आप पूरे पाकिस्तान को देखें और पूरे पाकिस्तान में you look at the scale of the issue is huge, right? ना हमारी गवर्नमेंट के पास unfortunately resources हैं उसको एड्रेस करने के, ना as organizations हम सारी organizations बहुत अच्छा काम कर रही हैं, लेकिन are we actually creating the impact that we need in Pakistan?
Thank you so much. We can continue this discussion for hours and hours, but we have like this time.
I will be complex, I will be cool. They'd say I played the field before I found someone to commit to, and that would be okay for me to do. Every conquest I had made would make me more of a boss to you. I'd be a fearless leader, I'd be an alpha type when everyone believes you. What's that like? I am so sick of running as fast as I can, wondering if I get there quicker if I was a man. And I am so sick of them coming at me again, 'cause if I was a man, then I'd be the man, I'd be the man, yeah. I'd be the man, yeah. They say I'd hustle, put in the work. They wouldn't shake their heads and question how much of this I deserve. What I was wearing, if I was rude, could all be separated from my good ideas and power moves. And they were toasting me, oh, like the players play. I'd be just like Leo in Saint-Tropez. I am so sick of running as fast as I can, wondering if I'd get there quicker if I was a man. And I'm so sick of them coming at me again, 'cause if I was a man, then I'd be the man, I'd be the man, yeah. I'd be the man, yeah. What's it like to talk about raking in dollars and getting bitches and models? And it's all good if you're bad, and it's okay if you're mad. If I was out flashing my dollars, I'd be a bitch, not a baller. They paint me out to be bad, so it's okay that I'm mad. I'm so sick of running as fast as I can, wondering if I'd get there quicker if I was a man. And I'm so sick of them coming at me again, 'cause if I was a man, then I'd be the man, I'd be the man, yeah. I'll be the man, yeah. I'll be the man, yeah. Oh, I'll be the man, yeah. I'll be the man. If I was a man, then I'll be the man.
Thank you to the all-girl band for that incredibly foot-tapping performance. This has been such a meaningful 2 hours together, and I want to thank all of you for your supportive messages and for posting so many photographs with the hashtag Rising Together.
These are extraordinary times for all of us, but these are particularly challenging times for adolescent girls around the world. Girls like Ruxana, Supriya, and so many more out there. I mean, even COVID-19 struck, more than 129 million girls worldwide were not in school, according to UNESCO. Now, due to ripple effects of the pandemic, the Malala Fund predicts an additional 20 adolescent girls are at risk of never returning to the classroom. Time of school closures, girls also face physical and sexual violence, early and forced marriages, unintended pregnancies, harder. This crisis could change the future of so many girls' lives and may also rob the world of their contributions, their ideas, their talents. Girls like Ruxana, Supriya, who are our next generation of artists, leaders, innovators, scientists, and poets.
And that's why we're asking you to support Rising Together, our fundraising campaign that is supporting the Girl Rising program partners, keeping girls close to their education and responding to their needs. You can give to Rising Together right now by using the QR code that is on your screen or through our website, girlrising.org.
Every gift makes a difference. A gift of $25 helps us print and distribute home learning material. A gift of $500 helps us develop new learning platforms. Now, this is our opportunity to pledge our support for girls' education. Your contribution can help change lives. Thank you all. And also thank you to Sophie. Thank you for all your efforts creating this special event. And to all of you, the fierce girl champions who will fight tirelessly to create a future where all girls thrive with abilities. Thank you for being with us. And as I close this session, I want to share a final video made by our wonderful Young Leaders Task Force, who each walked or ran to raise money for Rising Together.
It takes everything we have to face it. Without a sound, we take a step. Inside our hearts are racing. If it takes forever,